it's going to give off synchrotron radiation radially on all directions. Okay, so you can shield yourself from that.
Right.
You can shield it. Okay, here on Earth, we plant them in the ground. Well, in your UFO, you can't do that, can you? So what you have to do is you have to shield it with some substance, another material. So the center core, where they're sitting and riding, is a place where they're shielded, but the outside may not be. And we've heard many cases where people have touched the UFO, and what happened?
It's very bad.
Burns.
Burns. I mean, you name it, radiation sickness.
And what kind of radiation do you think it is?
That kind of makes sense now.
Synchrotron radiation from trying to take that particle accelerator, because the outside's not shielded. It doesn't have to be.
For them,
they're inside.
Yeah.
They're inside. Outside, they don't care. See, so that's what makes sense. Now, the other thing, too, is when you look at a UFO and it seems to shimmer and vanish right before your eyes, that's exactly what would happen if Kaluza-Klein gravitons were pulling it into the fifth dimension. It would literally shimmer and vanish from your eyes. That's the physical effect.
Did you read about this recent case out of Colorado?
Which case?
Over the amphitheater.
In Red Rocks?
Yeah, at Red Rock.
I was at Red Rocks. I didn't know about that case. What happened? I missed it.
Early June, employees after the amphitheater closed, they had a concert on June 5th.
Okay.
That night, 13 employees that were working the concert venue, they were at the loading dock. One of them saw it, said, "Guys, what is that?" And they all look over, and by no mistake, they said it was a metallic disc, and it was just hovering there. As soon as they turned their attention to it, it tilted, and then it didn't zip off at a tremendous rate of speed, but it was so close that they could make out the details. They said that it looked like it had three porthole, like a 3-story building. It had window looking things.
Okay. I see the story now. Yeah. It's and that's fascinating.
But it didn't just vanish over the horizon or shoot off into space. What they say they saw is that it literally just, as if it was cloaking itself, it just faded out. So it's, again, what you're saying.
Yeah, see, this is, we hear this time and again. So what could this be? This could literally be Kaluza-Klein gravitons in play. Okay. And as of late, and I haven't talked to Avi about this, but Avi Loeb said that he thinks it's possible that aliens are traveling interdimensionally as well. Now, he's the chair of Harvard astrophysics. Okay. And like I said, he's not saying this because I've said it. I'm sure he knows I've said it. Okay. Because we've talked. But the thing is, for him to come out and say that means that he's seen the evidence himself as well and believes that the math works out for this to be the case. Now, let's go one step further. Now we know that they're accelerators. Now we know that when they use that fifth dimensional travel, they are going to shimmer and vanish. They might even scintillate and change colors. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they might skip across the sky, being in one place then another. Okay. Now, as an astronomer, I can tell you that all those things can be explained from an astronomical phenomena point of view. However, we can't deny that it might also be Kaluza-Klein gravitons in play, and that's fire. Now, there's one lot more thing. You have to generate those particles in your particle accelerator. What's the source? Okay, well, at CERN, they're using a lot of electrical energy to generate a tremendous amount of energy to create these particles and accelerate them, right? But if you're in your spaceship, you're going to need something different. You're going to need some kind of a reactor. And let's cross the Atlantic now and go over to San Francisco to Lawrence Livermore. What has Lawrence Livermore done in the last year that's very important? And it has to do with fusion.
They had the first, first stable. It didn't last long, but
It was the first time that in human history that they had a reaction that they could sustain for a period of time. Normally it's bam, okay, we did fusion. Yay, everybody celebrate. But now they did
Right.
and then they shut it down, right? Because temperatures get so high that so we're not getting out more than we put in. That's what the goal is. Okay, like the sun, we get more energy out than goes in, obviously.
Right.
Okay. So that said, they're working on a stable fusion reactor at some point. Now, let's say they come out with their stable fusion reactor in San Francisco, and let's say that the Large Hadron Collider Atlas detector detects Kaluza-Klein gravitons.
Okay.
Okay, what do you need to create Kaluza-Klein gravitons besides the power sources they use at CERN? A fusion reactor. Hey. So you put one of those inside your ship, okay? And for all we know, they only need to be about this big. Size of a reactor might only need to be the size of a water bottle to power and generate the ring energies to be able to cause this ring to work. Remember, they could be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or more years ahead of us.
Right.
They've been here. So that said, they would be able to use this energy source to find their way through the universe in the same way. And they would probably be able to skip across the universe like you skip across the street or whatever, or like UFOs skip across the sky as we see them. They could do it across the universe as well. Now, if they go in a little bit into that fifth dimension, then they might look like they're moving through our sky and moving at ungodly speeds. And if they keep oscillating rapidly back and forth, well, then they could be on the deep ocean floor and not even feel the effects of the pressure. Because they're not really there. They're not really in the fifth dimension.
Right. They're bringing back your point. They're neither here nor there.
That's correct. Right. So see, that's kind of where this is going. And I'm probably going to talk about this tonight on Jimmy Church as well. But the point is, that's really something that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And so
this is amazing.
Yeah, and again, I was turned on to this by Robert Schroeder, good friend of mine. He lives in Massachusetts. Okay.
Hey, because I'm in Massachusetts.
Yeah, you're actually up near MIT, I think.
Yep, correct.
Yep. So you're near Copley Square in that region.
Yep. So wow, so you know the area.
Of course I do.
I've really wanted to talk to Avi because I go into MIT, I go into Harvard, I go to MIT, I go to all of them, Tufts, you name it. I've been in there, and he's someone I'd love to have a conversation with, but I digress. Anyway, so what these Dyson spheres that they're talking about?
Yeah, let's go to that because that's what your original question was.
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't now, with all that you've just talked about, a civilization that's able to do that, to enter the fifth dimension, and use that for travel and for whatever else they may be using it for. I'm sure it's not a one fits. It's not just it doesn't fit one purpose, but. Would that be a civilization that's using something like a Dyson sphere to harness the energy of their star?
It's possible because, the concept of Freeman Dyson's Dyson sphere was for a civilization that's advanced enough on the Kardashev scale, like 1 through 4, right? Mm-hmm. A Kardashev scale civilization would eventually utilize, potentially, all the energy they could get from their star. Now, in reality, the limitations of materials in the universe are such that in all likelihood, they couldn't put a gigantic sphere around their star because it wouldn't be supportable because of the crushing forces of gravity. Okay. In reality, what we might get is something known as a Dyson swarm. And in that image you just brought up, if you imagine each of those bands was thousands of satellites, okay, and not actually physical bands of anything, but just thousands of satellites, right? Probably in orbits that stagger so they don't ever collide. Every one of those satellites could obtain energy from the star and efficiently transmit it back to the home planet. So if you imagine that, you could have these massive collecting station up in orbit around your planet or planets, in all likelihood. And the energy, although it falls off as the square of the distance, okay, of transmission, would still be substantial if you have a lot of these, if you have an awful lot of these satellites. Yeah. So the point being, it'd probably be a Dyson swarm that we would see. Now, I was really intrigued when Tabitha announced her discovery. When looking at the Kepler data, Tabitha Boyajian, another astronomer, she announced.
Is that Tabby star?
Yes.
So that's, yes. Can you, what I would really want you to do is, can you explain why it's so, like how we know it's different or irregular? Because I have a hard time explaining it, because we know we can calculate the planet. If it was a planet that was dimming or, causing the dimming and brightening,
it'd be cyclic.
And we could
be periodic, and we could calculate it. Yeah.
But they're saying this is not the case with that.
Yeah, Tabby star was a star that she found in the Kepler Space Telescope data, and the star from 100 years ago has shown progressive dimming, at times really very rapid dimming, and they couldn't understand what that was. And I thought that maybe, other people said, oh, a swarm of comets and all that. No, see, comets they're going to be periodic, and it's not going to be so regular. But I think that in the Tabby star case, what they discovered was potentially that maybe this was a possible interstellar dust cloud between us and there, maybe, who knows. But I thought it was pretty intriguing because it could have meant, in my view, I thought maybe we're looking at potentially a Dyson swarm being constructed. Not a Dyson sphere, but a swarm. And a swarm of satellites, if numerous enough, would block a lot of the light from the star.
So if it was being constructed, that would be the reason for the continual dimming.
Yes, and we would call that a megastructure.
An alien megastructure.
Yeah, if we would characterize it that way. So Tabby star was interesting to me for that reason. I thought that maybe it would be something that
this is Tabby star. In the
yeah, that's it.
Okay, and is this more of what you were looking at? Well, no, this is more like solar panels. They looked more like satellites to me in the picture, but those are.
Yeah, no, I think of discrete little dots.
Yeah.
Okay, discrete little dots, all maybe hundreds of thousands, if not millions of them around the star, orbiting in such a way they don't collide with each other. And you could do that easily enough by having one set of orbits that is at one altitude above the star, another set that's slightly higher, another set slightly higher, and then cross them over. You could actually have almost an infinite number of satellites.
Oh yeah. This looks much more feasible.
Yeah.
Looking at it, it looks much. Do
you have an image?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab it here. Just to show the audience for the visualization, but this would be much more. I could see this as being a lot more.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Except the problem with that is it shows, like, first of all, satellites have to orbit in what's called a great circle. So you have to have the satellite going, like, if you have a ball. You can't have if you have a ball like this, you can't have a satellite orbiting like this. Okay. Right. It's got to orbit across a great circle. So it has to go basically around the center of the planet and not like above the pole only. Okay. So you'd find that you'd have multiple orbits that are twisted from each other, all going through around the center of the star. So that visualization is incorrect in terms of like a Tabby star or a Dyson swarm. But it's still, you've got to make sure that you have a great circle. You can't have just a little circle going around the pole,
Right. So, but so What would you say